government committed the chemical attack. The reporter recently gave an interview with Belgian RTL, where he told of a conversation he heard between rebels that exonerated President Bashar al-Assad and stated clearly that, quote, it wasn't the government of Bashar al-Assad that used sarin gas or any other gas, end quote. As a result, the majority of his scheduled interviews with mainstream outlets were canceled. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
When 16-year-old Jeffrey Patterson died in a car accident in February, he didn't just leave behind grieving friends and family, he also left a significant web presence. In a tribute to their son, Jeff's parents have continued to update their son's blogs and social media sites, including a blog called Shitbirds Everywhere.
Well, Jeff used his blog to make fun of stupid shitbirds. And now that we're doing this, it's like part of him is still alive.
Yeah, and then when I post a picture of some shitbird who has a stupid ankle tattoo or wears some retarded hat, I feel like somewhere he's smiling.
He hated retarded hats so much.
Whenever we get a comment calling Jeff a dumb fag for making fun of a handicapped person on a rascal scooter, well, it's like he's still here. Jeff would have gotten such a kick out of that fat shitbird. He really would have.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome, this is The Call to Freedom. I am your host, as always, Aria DiMezzo, joined in the studio today by...
Michael Hampton.
And I've had an interesting last 24 hours. I'd like to talk about that today on the air because it's been a very introspective period. Those who watch the show live, obviously noticed that we sort of just ended prematurely yesterday. Didn't really explain it to anybody.
Yeah, we did an hour and then just blew out of here just on a moment's notice.
Yeah, well... We had about half an hour notice for us.
But nobody else got any notice.
Yeah. And that was because when I went outside to have my last cigarette before the show, which I don't always do, but in this particular occasion I did happen to, I received a call from an unknown number. Being an unknown number, I wasn't even going to answer it. But I realized, nobody has this number anyway. It's not going to be a telemarketer or anything like that. It's probably just a glitch in my caller ID system.
It could be someone calling about your car's extended warranty.
It's unlikely to be that. But so I answered the phone, and it turned out to be Planned Parenthood of Northern New England.
Uh-oh.
And they wanted to inform me that I have chlamydia.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, and I got that news about 3 minutes before we went on the air. That's a jarring thing to be told under the best of circumstances, right? But when you're about 3 minutes away from going into a studio to talk for 3 hours.
It just jarred me, and I wasn't the one who got the news.
Yeah, it took everything that was in my head, and it just kicked it absolutely to the side. Now, I didn't know anything about chlamydia. You tell me I have chlamydia, you might as well be telling me I have HIV, as far as my brain understands it.
Okay, what is it? What kind of trouble am I in?
Well, we did get to that in the 2 minutes I had remaining before I had to come in here and do the show. It's relatively benign. It's just a bacterial infection. You take 4 antibiotics. They give it to you there at Planned Parenthood. You abstain from sex for 7 days, and you're cured. So that was my first question. Is this curable?
Right.
Or is it treatable? I want to know. If it's curable, great. If it's treatable, God, that's going to suck. But no, it's curable. Simple antibiotics do the trick. So I've already taken the antibiotics. So
well, that's a relief.
Yeah. So the chlamydia is being destroyed at this exact moment. They are screwing with my stomach as they told me they would. They told me to eat before they told me to eat within the next half an hour. And I did. I ate a couple of Pringles, but I know my body pretty well, and that would actually make it worse for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you eat a whole lot to begin with.
I don't. No. So, I know my body, right? So anyway, I was diagnosed with having chlamydia. And so there were people I had to tell, one person I had to tell actually, who is probably the person who gave it to me, but who knows, It has no symptoms. In like 99% of cases, I could have been carrying this since I was 15 years old without knowing. It's apparently one of the most common STIs in the United States, but it made me instantly feel really dirty and unclean. And that was a problem for the entire night and through most of the day as well, because it's part of the stigma that if you've ever had an STI or an STD, then you're dirty, you're unclean.
You're tainted.
You're tainted. And I do characterize myself as a slut quite a lot, but I don't do that because I actually sleep around. In fact, I don't. I do it because if you receive penetrative sex in the United States or in Western society in general, you're perceived to be a slut. Even if it's just one person or even if it's 50 people, if you enjoy sex and you're the
receiver,
yeah, thank you, you're considered to be a slut. That's why I call myself a slut. It's not because I'm out there sleeping around with a different person every night.
Yeah, well, the thing about that term that I don't like is that for most people, it's a gendered term. They apply it to women.
It certainly is. Yeah, because, we even have a distinct word for men who engage in frivolous over-sexual behavior, and that is man-whore, rather than just calling them sluts as well. I've noticed in recent years that it has become more common to refer to men as sluts, but it's still almost in a joking kind of way. It doesn't carry the gravity that it does if you call a female.
It doesn't have a negative connotation.
A slut, yeah. And it ultimately stems from these Judeo-Christian values that have informed so much of our society. And that's what leads, I think, to the STI shaming. And that's one of the things I've been reflecting on in the last 24 hours. Well, I've never overtly done it. One of my ex-girlfriends had HPV long after we were together. We dated in high school, and I ultimately found out 10 years later that she had HPV at some point within the last 3 or 4 years. So long after our relationship ended, she ended up getting HPV. And the inherent judgment from not just me, but from everybody in that, it was this implied, these are damaged goods now. And even though HPV, like chlamydia, is easily curable, that implication remains. We continue to shame people for having STIs.
It's not like you can it's not like you can avoid them entirely. The only way to totally avoid them is to just not have sex, not do drugs or needles anyway, maybe not even leave the house.
Yeah, because even if you abstain from sexual activity, there is still a risk of getting some sort of STI. You can still get HIV.
Right.
If somebody just happens to bleed on you, God forbid.
Yeah, that is bloodborne.
But yeah, you can get chlamydia presumably from cleaning the toilet of someone who has it. I don't know, but it's bacterial and that's where it resides.
Yeah.
So not to get too graphic, but there's certainly ways to encounter these without actually getting them from sexual intercourse. But even if you do acquire them from sexual intercourse, so what? I wouldn't be ashamed if I got strep throat from somebody or if I got mono from somebody.
Yeah, or a cold or the flu or whatever.
Yeah. Generally speaking, when a person gets the flu, it's because they got it from somebody. They're not ashamed of that. They don't get shamed for it.
Right.
It's just an illness that happens.
Well, there's no implication with the flu or a cold or whatever that you're making bad life choices. And I think people that engage in this STI shaming, it's because they think you're making bad life choices or at least bad partner choices.
There's certainly validity to that. As I was saying a moment ago, I do consider myself a slut, but it's not because I sleep around. I'm actually highly discriminating when it comes to partners. Mm-hmm. None of the people I've ever slept with seemed like they were likely to give me an STI.
No. Well, they never are.
No, and as we discussed when I was at Planned Parenthood today, they have 60-year-old men who have been divorced for 20 years come in and they got a new sexual partner who is a 60-year-old woman, and oh no, they have chlamydia or gonorrhea or something.
Yeah, it happens.
It does. And we would like to think that, this is something that's limited to the LGBT community or to the slut community. And I realize that's funny being an LGBT person who actually has chlamydia or had or is in the process of having had chlamydia.
You're taking your little course of antibiotics, and in a week this will be all over.
Yeah, well, it's technically over now.
Is it just one?
Yeah, it's just one dose. And
one dose.
That's it. So thankfully, it's handled. I don't have to give it any more thought.
You're still supposed to wait 7 days before you go have sex.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And, ideally, I will go back in 7 days and get a follow-up test to make sure that round of antibiotics killed it. And I will do that, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I lost my train of thought because we were actually going somewhere with that particular conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But there is this perception. Someone with whom I work at my other job has had an STD, and I think it was chlamydia. I don't remember now because I didn't pay any attention to it. But I remember thinking, oh no, that's not good. I should avoid sexual relations with this person. It wasn't that spelled out in my head, you know. But there was certainly a negative connotation to it, much more so than if we were to say, oh, well, he's getting over pneumonia or she's getting past influenza.
Well, if those were the case, they probably shouldn't have been at work.
No, that's true. And you're not going to give somebody chlamydia or gonorrhea or whatever by working with them.
Right.
One would hope. Depends on what you do for a living, I guess. We'll be back with more of this because I'm not the only one who takes issue now with the STI shaming. So we're going to get into what other people have to say about it and how Noah Trevor may not be as open and liberal as one would like on this particular subject. This is The Call to Freedom.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's the Onion Radio News. A man on TV urges the mass purchase of Listerine. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In what is believed to be the widest-reaching appeal ever made by an individual on behalf of an oral hygiene aid, an unidentified man urged millions of people across the U.S. to purchase Listerine brand antiseptic mouthwash today. Experts are baffled as to why a person with the power to reach millions would choose to present an oral hygiene-related message. FCC spokesperson Grant Yarborough.
This individual should be so obsessed with oral hygiene as to demand that several million bottles of Listerine be simultaneously purchased is baffling.
The man, described as a handsome, trustworthy-looking individual in his early 30s, emphatically stressed that Listerine should be purchased over other, inferior mouthwash brands. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. You're welcome to give us a call if you have thoughts on the subject. You can weigh in with 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160, or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, we've been discussing a highly personal issue in regard to myself being diagnosed with chlamydia and how it sort of jarred me and left my brain just permanently scattered. Well, not permanently scattered, but scattered throughout most of the night. And it wasn't until several hours later that I was actually reflecting on this enough to the extent that I realized, this is not, first of all, it's not even a big deal. It's simple antibiotics done, right?
Yeah, it's a minor issue, right?
It is. It's more of a minor issue than if I did have the flu, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm done with it now. I just have to not have sex for 7 days, which isn't a big deal. And I was more than likely
too difficult, right?
I was more than likely going to go 7 days without sex anyway, so not a big deal. The harder part was letting my partner know, and I did that like as soon. I was actually messaging him while we were still on the air because that's an important thing that I need to inform him about.
Oh yeah.
And so obviously he was like, well, thank you for telling me. And, it made me realize that there are a lot of people out there who would not tell. And that carries its own connotations of immorality itself. But to me, it seems like, okay, look, I have this thing. You might have given it to me. But regardless, we both certainly have it now.
Yeah.
So we either have to stop seeing each other or we both have to get treated. To me, that's the obvious solution. But there was certainly a lot of fear that, okay, this is going to be the end of the relationship. I gave this person a disease. But ultimately, it's no more meaningful than if I had gotten them sick with the flu.
Yeah, it's even less so.
Yeah, because this is, there's no symptoms. They're not going to be sneezing and coughing and running a fever or anything like that.
There's no symptoms. You get rid of it in a week and move on with your day.
All of the negative connotations around it, they stem entirely from how it's transmitted, which is through sexual behavior.
Right. And that really doesn't make sense, but that's the culture we have.
Yeah, that to me is why it's an offshoot of slut shaming. Because if you drive a car enough, you are going to have a wreck at some point. Yeah. You might not get hurt, it might not be your fault, but you will ultimately one day have a wreck.
Yeah, I've had a few fender benders, nothing serious, but
And that's generally true of any sort of behavior a person engages in regularly. If you do it regularly, eventually something bad is going to happen. Does this mean you should not drive a car? Does it mean you should not have sex?
No.
No, you should not have unprotected sex with strangers. But again, that's why I think it's most likely that this particular partner was the person who gave it to me.
Yeah, you should take precautions, and you should get treatment and take care of the obvious stuff. But
you should wear your seatbelt and not drive 90 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone or whatever.
But life is dangerous, and if you're just not taking risks because you think everything is dangerous, then you don't have a realistic view of the world.
You are correct, and that is also the position that Rafaela Guns over at Wear Your Voice Mag, whatever that says, whatever that means.
I've never heard of this.
Agrees with you. I have not either. I'm assuming it's a she based on the name Rafaela. Yeah, okay, it's a she. She wants to know, why do we continue to make jokes at the expense of those with STDs like herpes when they're practically as common as colds or the flu?
That's true.
And again, that was the issue I had because we're more ignorant in regard to chlamydia than we are about the flu. Like, you tell me you have the flu, I know what that means.
Yeah.
But you tell me you have chlamydia. And
I didn't know what I knew as little about it as you did.
Oh, I Googled it extensively.
Yeah, after you,
obviously, but yeah, I didn't just sit around Googling it in my pastime.
Yeah, it's not something you go and look up on a whim.
And a lot of these people learn about STDs in school in sex ed programs. I'm from Mississippi. There was no sex ed program. There was abstinence only education, and that was it.
Yeah, you didn't get much of anything.
They did use a lot of fear to convince people that abstinence was the only way to go. And you'll find traces of this still at the CDC's website, where they insist that the only way to be 100% sure you're not going to get an STD is to, 1, not have sex, until B, 2, sorry, don't mean to swap between numbers and letters there, and 2, you are engaged in a healthy monogamous relationship with a single partner.
Who also has never had sex.
Yes. So what they're essentially saying, and this is from the CDC, is wait until you're married. And you absolutely won't get an STD.
Well, that's true as far as it goes. But
well, it's somewhat true. You can still get herpes from a toilet seat.
Yeah, that's also true. But, the thing is, you're also telling people that the only thing they can possibly do is wait until they're married to have sex. And that does not work with most teenagers.
No, and we can look at the data and prove this to be the case because Mississippi, crap hole it is, has only abstinence-only education programs when it comes to sex. It also has the highest teen pregnancy rates in the United States, the highest rates of gonorrhea transmission in the United States, the highest rates of syphilis transmission in the United States.
Now that one's scary.
Yeah, a lot of these STDs are especially prevalent in the South, and we went over that Friday in the HIV article.
Right, where people are not getting this education that they really should be getting.
No, they're not. And it's shocking because I've walked out on partners who, when I asked them if they had protection, they said, oh yeah, you're right, I need to lock the door. Wait a minute.
I don't think we're understanding each other here.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood. I tell you what, just lock that door after I leave. Do that, because if that's your first thought when I ask you about protection, I don't really care if you go to the store now to get a condom. That tells me that you've slept with at least some people in the past without ever using a condom. And I don't want anything to do with that. Sorry.
I don't know. If it's your second thought right after checking your firearm to make sure you've got it, then maybe.
But okay, fair enough. Okay. I would make an exception for someone who goes, okay, I got my gun, I got my condom, I'm good to go. Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, this person writes that they love Trevor Noah's The Daily Show. I don't, but they do. Especially in this political climate, it's great to watch a humorous take on the news. So naturally, I was excited for his last show of 2016. And then, not even 2 minutes in, he made a herpes joke.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and she put it in bold. She's serious. Herpes. 2016 is a year that will stay with us forever, he said. Like herpes. Laughter followed. Laughter shouldn't have followed because, as far as jokes go, that's about as unoriginal as you can get.
Yeah, you can do better than that.
She writes that as someone who has been living with genital herpes for almost 2 years, I cringed. And we're going to get into why she cringed and what's wrong with Trevor Noah when we get back, so don't go anywhere. This is The Call to Freedom.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page $38 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom, and the Rational Review News Digest, located at rationalreview.com, is the Freedom Movement's daily news digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and liberty-minded people. They include podcasts, videos, blogs, and news articles, and are now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcasts. So be sure to check them out at rationalreview.com to stay up to date on all the happenings in the wider world. So, Michael, do you have any particular thoughts about Trevor Noah or the whole idea that shaming people with STIs is bad?
I'm not too familiar with Trevor Noah, so I don't know what he's saying exactly, but I don't think we should be slut shaming or STI shaming or shaming anybody. I mean, this is, well, for things that everyone is doing. It's
interesting.
The thing I don't like about this is that people think that if you're having sex a lot, you're a slut. And like I was saying earlier, they think if you're a woman and you're having sex a lot, then you're a slut, which really drives me crazy because that is not. It's a double standard, and I'm not a fan of double standards.
Fair enough. The person who writes this article goes on to say, yes, herpes is a virus that stays in one's DNA for life. It's also really benign. In fact, since my initial herpes outbreak in the summer of 2015, I've had practically no issues. Not only have I not had another outbreak, it hasn't affected my sex life or love life in any way. Now, that may be reckless, inconsiderate behavior. As I understand herpes, you can still transmit it, even if you're not experiencing an outbreak.
Yeah, you still can transmit it. I guess it's a lower risk if you're not having an outbreak, but it's still possible. So you still do need to one, tell your partner, and two, use precautions.
Yeah, and that's certainly an effect on one's sex life, to have to use these special precautions and tell prospective partners that they could be infected. So, like any other virus that stays with you, it tends to lay dormant and, as time goes on, is less likely to recur. In my opinion, something like herpes is just a thing you get from living life and interacting with others. And considering 2/3 of the world's population has HSV-1, typically called oral herpes, though it can be genital, as with her case, and 1 in 6 Americans has HSV-2, which is genital herpes, many people have some form of it. In fact, Trevor Noah himself, as well as all the people laughing, might even have it and not even know. Herpes is so common it isn't tested for in the standard STI panel. Other sexually transmitted diseases are also pretty common. Chlamydia, which I have, for instance, is the most frequently reported bacterial infection in the United States. So that's not just a STD bacterial infection, it's just the most common bacterial infection, period.
So many people get it, it's hardly newsworthy.
Yeah. The CDC estimates that there are 2.86 million cases of chlamydia annually. That's about 1% of the population annually.
Yeah, that's a little less than 1%, yeah.
Gonorrhea is another incredibly common bacterial infection spread by sexual acts. I also got a gonorrhea shot today. I did not have gonorrhea. The test did not come back positive for gonorrhea.
But you just got it prophylactically.
Yeah, but they were like, you're already here. You're getting this treatment for this other thing. These two usually go together. They don't in your case, but we would like to go ahead and give you this shot anyway.
Just in case.
Well, you're the doctor. You're the lesbian doctor. So if you say the lesbian partner with a female to male partner, in fact. So if you say that I should go ahead and get this shot, I'm telling you, sweetie, I'm going to take your word for it. Because you know way more about any of this stuff than I do. Awesome doctor, though. I didn't mean any of that as an insult. Some of it may have sounded like I did, calling her the lesbian doctor and things like that, but no, she's great.
No, she's...
And it's really opened the entire experience, not just the STI screening and treatment and all of that, but it's really opened my eyes about Planned Parenthood and what they really are.
Yeah, most people think it's all about getting abortions, and that's maybe a tiny little fraction of what they're doing.
Yeah, I definitely think that a name change would be in order because they go so far beyond parenthood now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something, and I don't know, somebody else could come up with something better, but I mean, it's basically a sex clinic at the end of the day. I mean, if it's sexual, they do it.
That sounds like what it is.
And it's more accurate than referring to it as some sort of parenthood planning organization.
Right. Which it kind of isn't. Kind of is, but...
According to the CDC, however, there are about 820,000 new cases of gonorrhea each year. Then there are more serious infections like HIV. And, you know, that was another thing that really struck me when they said, you tested positive for chlamydia. Do you realize how awful of a word chlamydia is? That sounds like a disease that's going to kill you in 3 days.
Mm. Yeah, it's one of those scientific words that you don't really know what it means, but it sounds bad.
Yeah, and gonorrhea sounds the same way.
Yeah,
Slightly,
that sounds worse.
Yeah, it does, because it sounds like it also is going to involve some pretty nasty diarrhea. At least, I mean, that's the way my human brain interprets it. When I hear gonorrhea, I'm like, oh man, that's really bad. But chlamydia sounds freaking awful. But it actually has no symptoms whatsoever, and that's why we end up. There may be 2.86 million cases of chlamydia annually that we know of, but it's probably going to be 5 to 6 times higher that we don't know of because
nobody got tested because they didn't get any symptoms.
And if they do get tested, they don't get tested properly. The doctor with whom I was with today actually mentioned this. This is not my first STI test, right?
Right.
But they always just had me pee in a cup. But that's stupid because if I'm going to get chlamydia, it's not going to be there. It's going to be elsewhere. And she was like, they always had me pee into a cup as well and test my urine, but I've never had penetrative sex at all. They should have been testing my throat this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So despite being tested for chlamydia, because the doctors themselves were relatively ignorant about it, she wasn't being tested properly. So it's the site at which you are most likely to engage in intercourse that really needs to be tested. Peeing into a cup and having that tested isn't going to tell you anything unless you're the penetrator.
Right.
So why do we continue making jokes? Well, hold on, let me get back to this. Yet, even HIV is no longer considered a death sentence due to the advancements of modern medicine. I'm not an expert. We talked about it a little bit Friday, but I mean, thank God, right?
Yeah, HIV is totally treatable, and for some people, it is curable.
I mean, when they told me I had chlamydia, certainly, my heart hit the floor, just immediately. Everything, my world crashed around me in that 20 seconds until she said there is a cure. It's just simple antibiotics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, for my lack of knowledge on the subject, they might as well have been telling me that I had HIV. I don't, thank God.
Yeah.
Those tests are quick and they take about 3 minutes to find out. So I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about chlamydia prior to yesterday either. So I certainly don't know anything about HIV or the treatment of it. I just know it's something I don't want. So she goes on to ask, so why do we continue to make jokes at the expense of those with STDs like herpes when they're practically as common as colds or the flu? In some cases, probably more common.
Yeah.
Why do we continue to other people with STDs in ways we wouldn't want, for someone with, say, allergies? Good God, lady, this is not how you write an article you intend to publish.
Is there a grammar problem?
There is an enormous grammar problem. That doesn't even make sense. Anyway, okay, whew. Calm down, Aria.
All right.
Sexually transmitted diseases and infections are no different than any other illness. The only reason they're treated as such is because of puritanical beliefs about sexuality.
I'll go with that, yeah.
So she seems to be going to make the same point that I was making. Hopefully, she continues to phrase it a little bit better than that jumbled mess that we read a moment ago. We're going to get further into this and into STD shaming, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Maybe you want to have sex with prostitutes, use a condom, and then arrest them, bust people for drugs, and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus. If you've ever wanted to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork, then you should try the Thin Blue Line game, which can be found at thinbluelinegame.com. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone over a broken taillight and then escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." You know, typical cop stuff. Get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. Assault and battery is not included, but for a limited time, you can order your copies and use the coupon code CTF to have all shipping costs waived. So go get it. That's thinbluelinegame.com. And I'm actually going to be in touch with the people who make it because I want them to make an expansion for it that involves a 22-ish-year-old blonde chick sitting in the back of the cruiser with her hands handcuffed behind her back who manages somehow to shoot herself in the head.
Yeah, I want to see how that happens.
That, of course, is the biggest thing that is going around in regard to cops right now. It's obviously going to be nonsense. There is no way to pull a trigger on a gun with your hands handcuffed behind your back. That's literally how guns are designed. Now, presumably, she could have used her toe with something like a shotgun, but certainly not a handgun.
If she was a contortionist, I can kind of see maybe she could sort of get into a bizarre position that maybe, I mean, it's kind of barely in the realm of plausibility, but it's the cops, so I still can't believe it.
I'm going to insist that there's no plausibility to it. Just because it's such a strange thing to suggest.
You've not seen contortionists.
I have. The idea that this random person was a contortionist who managed to, both get a gun into the back of a police cruiser while being arrested, not pat down or anything.
No, she wasn't in the police cruiser.
She was in the back seat of a police cruiser.
No, she wasn't.
That is what is going around. She was sitting on the side of the road.
She got pulled out of her car and was sitting on the side of the road while they chased down the other guy.
Handcuffed.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't covered it here on the show. It's probably about time that we do. But because I have always heard she was sitting in the back of a police cruiser.
Yeah, I did see pictures of it. She was not in the cruiser.
Huh. Either way, it doesn't seem likely that this person was, a contortionist.
It also doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she just randomly shoot herself. I don't get it.
But why do we continue? Okay, that's that stupid sentence again. The only reason, considering how sex-saturated our society is, well, I mean, literally, at every single branch in your family tree, there were people screwing.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you came into existence. It's not just sex-saturated. Sex is why human beings still exist.
I've got news for you. Your parents had sex.
They did, probably, and they probably enjoyed it.
And if they're alive, they may still be having sex.
Oh, we don't need to go that far, Michael. The idea that one can be shamed and degraded for participating in sex and subsequently getting an STI from it seems hypocritical. Contracting an STI is not about having poor judgment or morals. It can happen to anyone. You can get herpes from your first kiss. You can get HPV, losing your virginity to a steady partner. Sure, all of that is technically true, right?
Yeah.
But it's extremely unlikely that the person you lose your virginity to is going to transmit HPV to you. It's a numbers game, and it does carry that implication that, if 1% of people have chlamydia, or are infected with chlamydia in a given year, which seems to be the case.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. You roll the dice, and sometimes you're going to roll a 1.
Yeah, that ultimately is what it comes down to. The more times you roll the dice, the more sexual partners you have within a given year, the higher your chances of contracting chlamydia simply become. And that's where it stems from, with this idea that, well, you've had to have had lots of sex. Okay, sure, that's technically not true, but in the grand scheme of things, it probably is. I certainly have not had just one sexual partner this year, or even in the past 9 months or whatever since I got here to New Hampshire. Prior to that, I did have one consistent sexual partner. But not since being in New Hampshire, certainly.
Right.
Rolling those dice, eventually you're going to get a result that you don't particularly like. Now, most of these were actually they were obviously not unprotected sexual encounters, but condoms are certainly not 100% themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they're what, 99%?
Yeah.
98, whatever. So
I think it's 98% now. I think it used to be 99%, but I think they've adjusted it.
Did a study or 10.
Yeah. But you can go into the Planned Parenthood here in Keene, New Hampshire, and ask them for a handful of condoms, and they will gladly give them to you. Paid for not by the state, as it turns out, but by charitable donations from individuals like you.
Oh my.
It's not just jokes, though. Even the language we use to describe our STD status can be problematic. When we say we're clean to mean you're STI free, it implies that those who do live with STDs are dirty.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's what you said at the start of the show. You felt diseased.
Yeah, and I certainly did. And I still do in many ways, even though it's been dealt with. And I imagine that feeling is going to persist for quite a long time. But there's certainly truth to that, you know, I have asked people in the past, are you clean? And that certainly does imply that if they have an STD, then they're not clean. Right. They're dirty. And they may actually be clean. They just happen to also have this disease.
Yeah.
A disease that I wouldn't particularly want. But
nobody wants an STI.
No, but that is the case, and that is problematic language. I would certainly agree. I didn't think about that.
Nobody wants the flu either. But
no, but you know, if somebody has the flu, we don't ask them if they're clean. We just ask them, you know, are you getting over the flu? Do you still have the flu? The more society continues to shame and joke about those living with STDs, the more likely people who live with them will hide their status out of fear of embarrassment, like I was doing yesterday. I didn't even say the words to you and to Ian because I couldn't say those words out loud. I have chlamydia. It was easier to send it via telegram.
Yeah.
Even with Ian sitting 3 feet from me and not involved in it in any way whatsoever. It was just inherently embarrassing. And that was ultimately my own issue to deal with. And I did deal with that. And that's why we're here talking for an hour now about my chlamydia. My treated now chlamydia.
Treated chlamydia, but you know, it's a good conversation, and it's one I think we needed to have because there's so many people that are out there that are living with something like this, or they haven't gotten treated, they're embarrassed, whatever is going on, and you know, it's not. You really
sure, and people can say it's not the end of the world, it's not a big deal, and they did tell me that. The partner with whom I've been sleeping that I told this to said that as well. He was like, you know, it's really not a big deal. We just have to get treated, get it taken care of, and done. That's the end of it.
Right.
Sure, but that doesn't change the emotions, that sort of Puritan brainwash that persists so long after rationality has beat out that Puritan mindset in the first place. Because I'm certainly the last person who is going to consider any sort of sexual act to be inherently unclean.
Right.
But I was instilled with that brainwash from very early ages, and it clearly persisted with me and manifested when I was diagnosed with chlamydia, in that overwhelming and persistent feeling that I was then unclean, or that my value had been lessened.
Most of us have been brought up in that environment, and that's something that is all in the back of all our heads and that we live with, and that's why it's important to have this conversation so that people
Absolutely.
Who are feeling these emotions know that one, they're valid, that two, they have a source, and three, you can deal with it.
Yeah. Your value is certainly not determined by your STD status. I realize that it does feel like it will be. I mean, and especially if you've been so diagnosed, but you're still a valuable person. But this person goes on to say, sex education has failed American youth. I would not entirely agree, because
Mississippi.
I've always used condoms, and I'm from Mississippi, where there was no sex education.
Well, you got it some other way, right?
I did. Sure. I never knew I could get herpes from receiving oral sex. I wasn't told in sex ed. I used a condom. I was on the pill. I thought I did everything right. But lo and behold, I still contracted an STD. This wasn't the only time either. So there you go. There are a lot of ways that you can actually contract these STIs. Not all of them involve penetrative sex, and not all of them are going to, be simply preventable by using a condom for penetrative sex. Well, this is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. There's much more to discuss here on the show, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
Free Talk Live.
Most people think you have to seek out a God for finding meaning in life, but really meaning comes from your awareness that your next move will have a consequence to you, whether good or bad.
The meaning is created by the person having the experience.
It's inside
experiencer.
Your awareness that your next move will have a consequence for your positive or negative view of the world. That's where all meaning comes from.
And I fully believe that it's your interpretation of your experiences, how you decide to act as a result of the circumstances that surround you, that will ultimately decide your fate here. As far as, will you have a pleasant experience or will it be a hellacious one? I believe that
I believe in heaven and
earth,
hell, but I believe that they exist
right
every
now.
moment. Like you
Right
get
now.
to choose heaven and hell, and the people that do bad things experience hell because doing bad things results in bad stuff.
But you can always choose otherwise. You can begin at any moment to start over
Sinners
again.
can be redeemed.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,309. Silver opened at $15.40, and Bitcoin is trading around $3,997. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing 1 or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
By the end of the year, nearly every Major League Baseball team will be using facial recognition. The Activist Post reports that last year there were only 9 Major League Baseball teams using Clear's facial recognition to spy on fans. But all of that is about to change. This year, the MLB has decided to go full-blown TSA and put facial recognition cameras in 23 stadiums, which is just 7 shy of the entire league. According to an article published by Business Wire, Major League Baseball plans to scan the faces of millions of baseball fans. The article warned that Clear's broader rollout plan means they will be in every stadium by the end of the year. With Clear becoming the official biometric identity partner of Major League Baseball, the future of spying on sports fans and their families will only get worse. A Cleveland.com article revealed that Clear Biometrics will be scanning fans' faces during this year's Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. The Liberty Beat is found online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. As New Zealand reels from Friday's Christchurch mosque attack that left 50 dead and 50 wounded, residents of New Zealand have begun to voluntarily surrender their legally owned semi-automatic firearms for destruction, ahead of reforms promised over the next several days. Activist Post reports that the reports of citizens disarming themselves come amid a Monday announcement by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern that several in-principle decisions on gun control have been made by cabinet ministers, and has praised residents who have surrendered their guns to police. Official police figures show that nearly 7,000 New Zealanders are legally allowed to own semi-automatic weapons. Police have advised those who wish to turn theirs in to first call their local police station or arms officer for advice on safely transporting them for destruction. For 6 years, ever since the alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria in 2013, the Western corporate press has stuck with the easily disproven claim that the Syrian government gassed its own people. Activist Post reports that the lie has been repeatedly debunked by researchers in the alternative media, but that hasn't altered the onslaught of propaganda coming from mainstream journalists. Now, one of their own, a mainstream Belgian reporter who was captured by the West's Free Syrian Army terrorists, has begun blowing the lid off of the lies that the Syrian government committed the chemical attack. The reporter recently gave an interview with Belgian RTL, where he told of a conversation he heard between rebels that exonerated President Bashar al-Assad and stated clearly that, quote, it wasn't the government of Bashar al-Assad that used sarin gas or any other gas, end quote. As a result, the majority of his scheduled interviews with mainstream outlets were canceled. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
His name is Osimo. Honda has unveiled its new human-like robot that the team says is designed to run a non-competitive half marathon and then smugly brag about it afterwards. Project leader Kenji Saito calls the robot very aggravating, adding, quote, we knew how to create a robot that could run great distances at high speeds. The challenge was to build a bot that would be impressed with its own minor achievement. The robot even believes it could run a full marathon if it wanted to, but it's just doing this to stay in shape and have some fun.
If I wanted to, I probably could have played college football.
Aiming to make the android as realistically human as possible, scientists installed sensors to register derisive comments and eye rolls from annoyed coworkers as genuine interest in its self-centered blathering. The team noted that the irritating robot could be useful in medical fields as well. Already, Osimo has pestered scientists into sponsoring it to run a 5K in Cape Cod this summer. To date, it's raised over $700 for leukemia research.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, as always, broadcasting from the LRN studio here in King, New Hampshire. And I am your host, Aria DiMezzo of the anarchistshemale.com, and soon to be of a named YouTube channel once I get just 9 more subscribers. So close. So search for me on YouTube. That's Aria DiMezzo. You should probably know how to spell my name by now. And help me get to that magical number so I can actually name the URL and direct people to it more easily. And I'm joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton of BitcoinHistory.com and CryptoTip.org.
Perfect. And we've been having a discussion about my recent chlamydia diagnosis and this sort of STD, STI shaming in the West that people are arguing has been persisting since medieval times. And I would certainly argue that that's probably true. And we were going to move on to something else, but I found a slightly different take on it from Ravishly. And I'd like to, flesh this out just a little bit more, because while we discussed it a lot, I don't think we actually, did anything to help push back against the STI shaming or anything like that. And obviously, coming forward and saying, okay, look, I have chlamydia is somewhat pushback against STI shaming.
Yeah, coming out and publicly saying you have it or had it.
Yeah, because my perspective on it yesterday was just drastically different, right? Yeah. Yesterday.
It was the end of the world. You practically,
Well, it did feel like the end of the world, and obviously, I needed to research it and things like that to find out that it wasn't the end of the world. But I mean more my emotional reaction to it, beyond just feeling like it was the end of the world. Obviously, somebody's going to feel that way anytime they receive a call from the healthcare provider who says, okay, look, you've got chlamydia. End of the world.
Yeah,
but
that's what it feels like.
It feels shameful. It feels dirty. And even though my partner was like, well, you should still come over Saturday. Obviously, we can't have sex, but you should still come over Saturday and watch some television with me and things like that. That sort of reassuring thing from your partner is something that's certainly going to be important, but it didn't do anything about that internal self-shaming, I suppose would be the word for it.
Yeah, you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah. But 4 years ago, according to this writer at Ravishly, she could be found most mornings at the same cafe with the same blue notebook and a blah, blah, blah. Good Lord. Okay, never mind. She's trying to promote a book. Okay. So that's not fun. Thanks for that BS there, lady. Thought you were going to say something interesting, and it turned out she was not.
Oh, well.
Coming to us from, in somewhat related news, coming to us from Michael Hampton, from the WCNC, a bill in Georgia would require men to report every release of sperm to officers. Now, obviously, this is not a bill that has any chance of promotion or being passed any more than the one they did, I think it was in Texas?
Oklahoma? A few years ago where the men were going to be required to, what was it?
I don't recall what it was either, but it was a pretty clear reversal of the anti-abortion bills and things like that.
Waiting period type of bills, yeah.
And this is in the same vein. A 2-line proposed bill would require men to report certain events of a sexual nature to law enforcement. Now, I would argue that this is not the way to go about handling the issue. These sort of trolling bills is not going to help their end result.
No, what they should do is make it an amendment to an anti-abortion bill.
That might actually achieve something, but HB 604 would amend Chapter 1 of Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia so that any male 55 years of age or older shall immediately report to the county sheriff or local law enforcement agency when such male releases sperm from his testicles.
Okay.
That is the actual wording of the bill.
Shall immediately report. So you're in the middle of sex or even just pleasuring yourself, and you get off and you have to immediately call the sheriff.
It seems so. The bill was sponsored by 5 Democratic representatives, not going to do anything to help the general misogyny in the United States, I would bother to point out, or anything to help Democrats. Apparently, it is pushback against an abortion bill that recently passed in Georgia. I would rather see them do it as an amendment to Georgia's anti-sodomy laws or to Mississippi's anti-sodomy laws, both of which still have anti-sodomy laws on the books. But Kendrick, the representative who apparently has sponsored the bill or wrote the bill, has made waves online after she tweeted that she intended to introduce a testicular Bill of Rights.
How is this a testicular Bill of Rights?
That would seek to regulate male sex organs.
Okay, so it's a testicular Bill of Rights that we're taking away from you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way the government works. You know, they're going to call the Patriot or the Freedom Act, even as it curtails freedom. So obviously, this testicular Bill of Rights is going to curtail male sex rights.
Well, that's how bills work. The name of the bill is the opposite of what it does.
Yeah, like the Ministry of Love is not the place where you will find very much love. She did it in response to the House's passage of HB 481, dubbed the Heartbeat Abortion Bill, that would ban abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected, usually at around 6 weeks. So
at 6 weeks? A lot of people don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. That's, my goodness.
I've never been pregnant, so I don't know. I mean, it seems like at 6 weeks, one is probably noticing that one has missed a period.
Yeah, so maybe 4 to 6 weeks then.
Kendrick told, but we were correct in our diagnosis of this being some kind of pushback against some anti-abortion bill. And that issue in itself is an absurdity to me and is a remnant of patriarchy that has existed for thousands of years and that no longer really exists today, except in these sort of remnants, which is, you can find in this mentality that these House of Representatives, these congressional people, whether we're dealing at the state or the federal level, made up primarily of men, are attempting to legislate this issue that by definition can only affect women in the first place.
Yeah, stay out of it.
And I piss off so many people by pointing out that, sticking your penis in a woman doesn't give you any right whatsoever to tell her that she can or can't have an abortion. If you don't want her to have an abortion and she wants to, then you can suck it up, Buttercup, because that's not your decision to make.
Yeah.
Being the one who being the sperm donor in that particular scenario doesn't mean you have any right to say, no, you have to continue carrying this thing for 9 months. It just doesn't work that way. It is solely the decision of the woman whether or not to have an abortion. And she doesn't want to take your feelings into account, that she doesn't have to find a sex partner who isn't so calloused and disregarding of your feelings.
Yeah, be a little more discriminating when don't just follow use the head that's above your neck, not the other one.
And I say all of that as someone who has actually been in that position where I did impregnate a chick in Las Vegas, the psychopath. And she did have an abortion that I was against. And it didn't matter to her that I was against it. Actually, it did matter to her, and she knew that I would be against it, and that was why she got pregnant in the first place.
She got pregnant to spite you, and she had the abortion to spite you.
Yeah, it was all part of her psychopathic game of how much mental and emotional damage can I do to this person. As it turned out,
a lot.
I don't know that I would agree it was a lot, because the signs of what she was doing started becoming more and more apparent, and I started putting up, emotional walls to minimize that damage. But according to the House website, HB 604 was introduced by a couple of representatives. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's not important. Okay, that's pretty much all they had to say about it. The rest is just a list of representatives who introduced it. 5 of them were women. And it was not... it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be passed.
It's not going to go anywhere. The thing I think about abortion is that if you don't have a uterus, you probably should be abstaining from this discussion.
Well, I would certainly say that a man who impregnated the woman certainly has the right to express his opinion on it.
You should be abstaining from voting on abortion bills.
Certainly. Well, we should be required to abstain from voting on any bills that don't personally affect us anyway.
That would limit the size of government.
Yeah, otherwise it's just one person telling another person what they can and can't do. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back to discuss more of the anti-abortion.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm. Oh,
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, and you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160, or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And they're always chatting about something over there. Like right now, they're discussing whether or not Christopher Cantwell is trans.
Or it's going to transition.
Yeah, obviously he's not presently trans, but I would honestly not be surprised. I mean, before I came out as trans, I certainly did weird things, including chugging down protein shakes, lifting weights, and learning to kickbox as ways to get around my gender identity disorder.
Those are definitely, I've never had gender, whatever it's called today. So I don't know what you do to get around them. But someone who's drinking protein shakes and kickboxing is not the sort of person I would think I was possibly transgender.
No, I mean, it's sort of a way of overcompensating, refusing to come to terms with various things, so you run as fast as you can in the opposite direction.
You're doing that to avoid admitting it to yourself.
Yeah. Okay, and, there would certainly be some, I would not be surprised if all of this anti-LGBTQ, anti-Jew, Nazism crap from Chris Cantwell was honestly just a way for him to run as far as he could from his own femininity.
There's so many people. I've heard so many stories like that people who have so much hate for LGBTQ, turns out they are. And they were just
I've heard that
it to themselves.
I've heard that as well. I don't know how common it is, though.
I'm
to me,
sure
it doesn't.
It's not that common, but
it doesn't logically hold water that there's any sort of connection between it. Because, I mean, if for these people who believe that there's a connection between homophobia and latent homosexuality, it raises the question of, okay, well, do you hate pedophiles? And they go, well, obviously, okay. Are you struggling with latent pedophilia? Obviously not.
No.
So there's no necessary connection between hating a behavior and repressing the desire to engage in that behavior, right?
You know, I see a headline like this at least once a year that's happened to somebody.
Well, sure, because it would play into a convenient narrative that allows the LGBT community or the left as a whole to sort of reverse the table on the anti-LGBT people and say, oh, no, it's you. You're the one who's actually gay.
Yeah, you hate us because you're secretly gay and in the closet. Okay,
but
I can see that.
But speaking of pedophilia, Facebook has apparently asked users if pedophiles should be able to ask kids for sexual pictures.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, coming to us from 2018, so it's a little bit old, but it's still something worth discussing because we make fun of Facebook quite a lot because they're lunatics over there.
That they are.
Facebook is under fire for asking users whether pedophiles should be able to proposition underage girls for sexually explicit photographs on the giant social network.
How is this even a question, though?
Well, I think it's a fair question. First of all, what do they mean by underage? Are they talking about 12-year-olds or are they talking about 16-year-olds?
Okay, that's a fair distinction, I guess.
And when they say sexually explicit, do they mean showing some boobs or showing some beaver? Well, one of those is worse than the other, right?
In this sex shaming culture, yeah.
So my answer would be different. Should Facebook allow users to proposition 12-year-old girls for pictures of their vajayjay? My answer would be no. Can we not have that here on Facebook?
Yeah, can we just not have that?
But if you ask me, can a 35-year-old man ask a 16-year-old girl for pictures of her boobs? I'd be like, I don't really care. 16, in my opinion, is old enough to make a decision about whether or not you want to send your boobs in photograph to a random person.
Yeah, the government's not going to agree with that, but okay.
And I realize that really bothers people to hear, but you know, it's like Nazism. You're not allowed to say that, okay, you subjectively believe that's wrong, and I accept that, but I disagree in these ways, right? You're not allowed to say that. You're considered to be as bad as them if you do. But from violence on its live streaming service, which we talked about last week in regard to the New Zealand shooting, to divisive messages sent by Russian operatives trying to meddle in the U.S. presidential election, I love how news outlets just keep saying that as unequivocal proven facts.
Yeah, those Russian operatives in the DNC.
Yeah, you'll find it in totally unrelated posts like this one here. But Facebook apparently scrapped the survey that posed questions about teens being groomed by older men after it was spotted by media outlets in the United Kingdom. It now says the survey could have been better designed.
Yeah, I would say so. What were they even trying to get at with a survey like that?
Good Lord, I don't know. But we do have to remember that Facebook is not a distinctly American thing. I mean, we did build it, we did create it, we did promote it, we did make it popular. But there are people in Indonesia who use it. There are people in Thailand who use it.
There are people all over the world who use it, everywhere.
And a lot of those countries use different cultural understandings of what underage even means and what it actually entails. So asking a question like this to its 2 billion users worldwide, it may yield answers that are more geocentric than Amerocentric. More recently, Facebook has been relying on user surveys to take their pulse on everything from the fake news epidemic to whether Facebook makes them happy as people have stopped spending as much time there.
Hey, that's the first bit of good news I've heard all day.
Facebook makes me very happy because I use it in small doses. I get on Facebook, I look for funny memes. I have a few people who just are always in my feed because they're sharing funny memes. I share them, and I go back to doing something else. It's good for laughs for me in the same way that one might pull up, I don't know, a 3-minute Happy Tree Friends skit.
Right. Yeah, I go on there, I post some crap, I share some garbage that other people have shared, and watch a cat video, and that's it. I'm done.
But the questions in Sunday's survey shocked and angered Facebook users. In thinking about an ideal world where you would set Facebook's policies, how would you handle the following? a private message in which an adult man asks a 14-year-old girl for sexual pictures. And this caused controversies. I don't think Facebook did anything bad here or did anything even that they shouldn't have done by cultural standards. They were asking the people who are butthurt about this kind of thing, well, what would you do about it?
Yeah, when they worded, that's the way they worded it. I'm having a little trouble seeing the problem.
Well, like we were saying a moment ago, to a lot of these people, even the mere mention of it.
Here's the situation. How would you handle it?
Yeah, even the mere mention of it gets scathing criticism from them. It offends them that you would dare even ask the question. Sexual contact with minors online, part of a grooming process in which adults seek to gain trust and lower inhibition, is often a precursor to sexual abuse. We're going to get further into this Facebook article, why exactly people are butthurt. Well, kind of because they're always butthurt about something. But don't go anywhere, we're going to dive further into it. This is The Call to Freedom.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar. and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcasting as always from the Liberty Radio studio here in Keene, New Hampshire. And we're talking about Facebook again, and Facebook's rather bizarre decision to ask people, well, what would you do about this problem if you could do anything you wanted or enact any particular policy, which caused a lot of people to get butthurt, it would seem.
Just asking about it just asking what would you do in this scenario? What should a Facebook moderator do if this happens?
Well, the possible responses Facebook offered to the question ranged from this content should not be allowed on Facebook and no one should be able to see it, to this content should be allowed on Facebook and I would not mind seeing it. So let me make sure that I understand this correctly. What content are they talking about?
Apparently the guy asking a 14-year-old girl for pictures.
So the guy asking for the pictures is content that they don't think should be on Facebook.
Right.
That's generally not content on Facebook. I mean, it's not going to show up
Messenger,
it's not going to show up in their feed that Dave from New Zealand asked Tammy from Florida for nudes.
Yeah, this is happening in Messenger or WhatsApp or Kik or whatever.
Another question asked, who should decide whether an adult man can ask for sexual pictures on Facebook, with options ranging from Facebook users decide the rules by voting and tell Facebook, to Facebook decides the rules on its own.
Okay, that one might be a little more controversial.
Well, I would also point out to people, well, if they want their own social media network where they determine the rules, they're welcome to build that. Facebook, in the current environment, is certainly able to decide the rules on its own. They may ultimately decide to have some sort of voting mechanism to determine its rules. But to all of the adult men out there, if you are asking someone for sexual pictures, you've already failed.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're not going to get them. Jonathan Haynes, digital editor at The Guardian newspaper, tweeted, wait, is making it secret the best Facebook can offer here? Not, calling the police? Well, it depends on whether or not they want people to be shot.
Yeah, calling the police is something you do when you really need someone to possibly be killed.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there is... Well, obviously, there shouldn't be anything illegal about it. But I'm not sure in most states that there even is anything illegal about asking a 16-year-old girl. What was the age they used? 14?
They used 14.
Okay, that's probably illegal in all of the 50 states.
Yeah, I'm sure that one's illegal in all 50 states.
But Facebook is not a uniquely American phenomenon. The age of consent in Mexico is 12 years old. I know this for totally unrelated reasons. I don't know. I don't remember now why I know it, but I do.
Okay, so if they asked this question to people in Mexico, would they get a different response?
If a Mexican man were to ask a 14-year-old girl for sexual pictures, and she was also in Mexico, they would be violating no laws whatsoever. So what should Facebook do in that circumstance?
Nothing? I don't know.
Should they call the police to report them for what isn't even a crime by their own standards?
I know.
Or should we, the great American empire, tell Mexico that no, that's totally not acceptable and you need to go arrest this man now?
We Americans need to go impose our culture on the rest of the world. That's all there is to it.
That does seem to be part of the implication here, or at least part of the problem here is just this overwhelming ego among these people, this inability to recognize that, okay, the age of consent here in the United States is 16, but it's younger in other places. So while I may personally not approve of this sort of thing happening between, 35-year-old men and 14-year-old girls on Facebook, I'm an American and my cultural values are informed from that perspective.
Yeah, it's certainly not for me. I mean, the very idea of dating anyone below like 30 gives me the hives, but
I mean, we live in a world here. We don't just live in the United States, especially when you get on the internet and start using Facebook. You could be interacting with people in Africa, in China, well, probably not China, but in Russia, in New Zealand.
Practically anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere throughout this entire world. And the idea that, Facebook needs to automatically call the police and report it if a grown man asks a 14-year-old girl for nudes is absolutely an American-centric way of viewing the world.
Yeah, it is.
Facebook said that a misstep with the survey seems to be a situation of good intentions that did not fully appreciate the rightful anger and frustration the general public feels towards the current online environment.
Well, the American general public.
Yeah, and that's not accurate anyway. They're not.
And the UK, I guess, general public, because I guess it was someone in the UK that complained about this.
Yeah, they're not angry at the general environment on the internet. They're angry about the usage of the word pedophilia and the implications of pedophilia. That's what triggers them. And you can experiment with it yourself. Just go to any Facebook group and say these exact words. Pedophilia is only subjectively wrong. It's not objectively wrong. And you will get kicked from that group almost instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they keep you there just so that a bunch of people can bitch at you. That the entire idea of it just triggers so many people that rational discourse is impossible. In the same way that white supremacy as a label triggers people and makes dialogue impossible.
Yeah.
You have people making the same arguments about both of them, saying that, pedophiles should be killed on sight, tortured and killed. They're so immoral. And I'm not weighing in on the morality of it. Let's keep that in mind. But you have people arguing that, and they argue exactly the same thing in regard to Nazis and white nationalists.
Yeah, we should just kill them on sight too, right?
Yeah, there are absolutely no redeeming qualities to these particular people, and they need to be killed before they cause harm to others. An investigation by the BBC in 2016 uncovered numerous private Facebook groups by and for men with a sexual interest in children to share images, with one run by a convicted pedophile. Photos of children taken from their parents' Facebook accounts have also been found on pedophile sites.
Oh, my.
Yeah, well, parents, don't be so frivolous with these sorts of things that you post online and make publicly viewable. If you post your 12-year-old girl out there in the swimming pool sunbathing or whatever, there's probably a pretty good chance, and you make it public, for God's sake.
I mean, come on.
There's probably a pretty good chance that it's going to end up on a pedophile website. Facebook faced criticisms again in 2017 when the BBC flagged dozens of images and pages containing child porn. Of the 100 reported images, 18 were removed. At the time, the BBC said Facebook asked to be sent examples of the images, and then reported the broadcaster to Child Exploitation Unit of Britain's National Crime Agency.
Okay, I'm not sure.
So hold on. I think what they're saying is that Facebook asked the BBC for examples of this child porn. The BBC provided them, and then Facebook reported the BBC to Britain's equivalent of the FBI for having child porn.
Oh, my.
That's what it seems to read.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
Which, by the way, on the subject of child porn and the year 2016, according to Melanie Neighbors of Free Talk Live, in 2016, the FBI was the largest distributor of child porn in the entire world.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I clicked through to that article, and it does say from the BBC, when provided with examples of the images, Facebook reported the BBC journalists involved to the police and canceled plans for an interview.
That is a new level of trolling right there. Do you have evidence that there is child porn here? And they go, yes, here is the evidence. And you report that person to the authorities. Wow,
yeah,
Facebook.
Wow. You're going to be on the losing side of that one.
That's absolutely stunning. Verified child sex abuse images are sent to the U.S. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and other organizations that work with law enforcement to find offenders. They also combat the spread of child pornography with technology that detects and blocks content from being uploaded. We talked about yesterday that it seemed like they should have some sort of automatic thing in place to prevent that.
They do.
And it turns out that they do. So we're going to get back into Facebook's missteps. Don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, I would like to briefly remind you that our podcasts have moved to calltofreedomlive.podbean.com and are no longer being uploaded to Spreaker. Although you can find them on Spotify and on Google Play Music, and one of these days you'll be able to find them on iTunes as well.
Yeah, give it a few months.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I was actually going to do it last night, but other stuff came up.
Yeah, you were a little distracted.
I was. And I also received interesting news last night in relation to a story you brought in. Someone has told me that Kiwi Farms is going to target me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know on what they're basing this. It may just be speculation because I'm the kind of person they think that Kiwi Farms targets, and I didn't go trawling through their forum in order to find out. Or if there's actually already a forum thread for me over there, I would not be terribly surprised.
Yeah, I hadn't. I sent this. I sent this to you because I thought you might be interested, but I hadn't visited Kiwi Farms myself. But when I saw Kiwi Farms and what was the other thing? I've lost it, so I don't have.
Well, it's related to Kiwi Farms and New Zealand. But I don't think there is any real threat of Kiwi Farms targeting me because what they do is they target these people they refer to as law cows, which is people you can get a reaction from by pissing them off to the degree where they're flipping out and things like that.
Okay, so
they're not going to get that kind of reaction from me. And, you know, they do a lot of research about their potential targets.
Yeah, it wouldn't be funny to go after you.
No, I visited them in the past, and I've seen them, you know, build up these enormous forum threads about all of this information they know about the person, what they've done, how they react to things, and why it's going to be humorous, essentially. And they wouldn't get any of that from messing with me.
Yeah, I mean, just wouldn't work.
I'm not going to flip out on them or anything like that. I welcome them to try. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to take a look at it and they go, well, I mean, it seems like law cow material, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're welcome to try, though. It'll be funny to watch you fail.
Yeah, this bitch calls herself the anarchist Shemale. I don't think there's a lot we can do to really get under her skin. But in speaking of Kiwi Farms, a man contacted by New Zealand police with regards to the Christchurch terror attack being with content. Good God, that's so badly worded. So there's content in regard to the Christchurch attack on KiwiFarms.net, evidently. And I don't know why News Hub had such a difficult time phrasing that, but they did. Joshua Connor Moon, operator of Kiwi Farms, referred to, I don't know what that word is, as a crap hole country with faggot law in an email he sent to a detective senior sergeant. Despite having Kiwi in its name, the website has no association with New Zealand. Rather, the name was adopted from its former title of CYCKI Forums.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
You can see why they changed the name.
A spokesman for the New Zealand police confirmed to News Hub that Kiwi Farms has been contacted as part of its ongoing investigation. Moon posted a copy of the detective's initial email, his response, and a follow-up from the detective on Kiwi Farms, because of course he did. What is wrong with you? Do you not know anything about Kiwi Farms?
This detective obviously didn't do his homework before he sent this email.
Do you not know anything about how trolls work on the internet? Like, look,
sometimes they don't. I mean, this is New Zealand where they don't have the internet much.
The Pirate Bay has this really cool section where people send them copyright claims and where they respond to those claims, and the people universally are what you would consider to be law cows. And they say some of the most bizarre and idiotic crap that you would imagine, because now they're angry. So now they have over 300 confirmed kills, boys, so you better be careful. That's the kind of crap they end up saying. And I imagine that the detective's response to Kiwi Farms was something like, you realize I could have you arrested and incarcerated for failure to comply with a law enforcement officer. Or something along those lines. And this man-child over at Kiwi Farms is like, guess what, LawCal? You're on the first page of our forum now.
Oh, wait till you get into the money quotes in here.
He adds, tell your supervisors they're going to make the entire country and its government look like clowns by trying to censor the internet. You're a small, irrelevant island nation, barely more recognizable than any other nameless Pacific sovereignty, Moon says in his email. You do not have the clout to eradicate a video from the internet, and you do not have the legal reach to imprison everyone who has posted it. If anyone turns over to you the information they're asking for, they're not only cowards, but they're freaking idiots. Kiwi Farms is a notorious website which originated as a spinoff from controversial image board 4chan. So let me rephrase that. They couldn't hack it on 4chan. So they went to their own website. I mean, that's really how it played out. A profile on New York Mag's Intelligencer describes Kiwi Farms as the web's biggest community of stalkers, recounting how it was developed by a group of people to harass author Christine Chandler.
So that's where the CWC came from in their former name.
Yeah, it would seem so. Kiwi Farms is about eccentric individuals and communities on the internet.
Eccentric is putting it very nicely.
And here it is. We call them LawCals because they can be milked for amusement or laughs. Our community is bizarrely diverse, and spectators are encouraged to join the discussion. Yes, and that right there is why whatever basis this person has to suggest to me that Kiwi Farms is going to target me is BS. They're not going to get any amusement or laughs out of it. I will.
Yeah, we'll get laughs, but
they're unlikely to. Moon says that he is a U.S. citizen based overseas, but claims that Kiwi Farms is a company based in Florida. Although the Christchurch terror attack was live streamed and the alleged gunman posted a link to the video and a so-called manifesto on 8chan, Kiwi Farms was quick to provide its own links, because of course it was.
Yeah, censorship is one of the things that really drives people like this up the wall.
At around the time of the shooting, there were a number of posts and links posted on Kiwi Farms relating to the shooting, said the detective's email, which has been posted on Kiwi Farms, because of course it was. We would like to preserve any posts and technical data, including IP addresses, email addresses, etc., linked to these posts pending a formal legal request. Could you please advise what legal process you require for this request and also confirm preservation of the data requested pending legal process?
Obviously, this detective did not even know what Kiwi Farms was before he sent this email. He just, kiwifarms.net. I'll email the webmaster.
Yeah, if they have not already purged all records regarding the IP addresses and the email addresses of the people who uploaded content related to the New Zealand shooting, I would be stunned. At the time of publishing, the Kiwi Farms post with the emails to and from the detective has not been taken down.
Of course not. That'll be up forever.
No torrent has ever been taken down from the Pirate Bay because of these sorts of legal threats either. That's just not the way that's not the way that sort of person works. You push back at them, and they're going to push back at you.
Yeah. Detective Sergeant, whoever, welcome to the internet.
Now, I would probably argue that there realistically was no way that the detectives could get this information from Kiwi Farms without receiving pushback. A polite request certainly wasn't going to do it.
Oh, no.
I mean, all in all, I think it would probably be best to just leave it the hell alone and just give up that information as irrelevant in the first place, because it is irrelevant. Except we are seeing now news articles of people, I think, in New Zealand being arrested for sharing the video.
Yes, I did see one of those. Somebody got arrested because he shared that video.
What was the exact charge? Do you know? We can pull it back. We can pull it up here in a minute and get into it further, but
yeah, I'll dig it up. I don't remember the exact charge, but I'm sure I can find it in a minute or two.
But this is absolutely no surprise. I mean, we knew this sort of thing was going to happen. Look, these people are so stupid that they are begging the government to disarm them. And you really have to wonder at the stupidity of someone who says something like, man, all of these mass shootings really suck. I want to feel less safe, so I'm going to get rid of the weapons that I would use to defend myself from these mass shootings.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, it must make sense to the guy who gave up his weapons, or actually there are multiples of them now. But
I don't think it does make sense. Like, okay, I agree that arsonists are bad, but that is all the more reason for me to keep my lighters and my matches rather than turning them over to strangers who may in fact be arsonists.
Yeah.
The same thing applies to gun. I know I'm not a psychotic mass shooter, so it's best for me to hold on to my guns since I know they're not going to be used to murder people.
18-year-old arrested in New Zealand for sharing terrorist Facebook videos.
Well, we're going to get into that 18-year-old arrested, probably with his entire life going to be spent behind prison now for some BS charge about inciting terrorism or something like that. You know how the state does its thing. So don't go anywhere. We're going to get into that here in just a moment. This is the Call to Freedom.
Researchers have definitively concluded that all of it, is some kind of sick joke. The Princeton study suggests that the entirety of existence, including time, marriage, migratory patterns of birds, continental drift, life itself, photosynthesis, human society, and the changing of the seasons, are all part of a massive, twisted ruse orchestrated by a spiteful cosmos.
Look at you morons, taking this stupid video for your pointless newspaper. Everything's a joke. I'm a joke, you're a joke. The whole universe is a joke.
We at the Onion Week in Review are compelled to inform viewers that while this entire segment is indeed one small part of the giant perverse joke, the upshot is that the next minute of your life will be no more or less pointless than if you were to spend it with a loved one, mentoring an at-risk youth, or simply wallowing in your own feculence. In other news, Harley Davidson and Jack Daniels collaborate on a local felony. A churchgoer blanks on why she's lighting a votive candle, and please ring the bell and the boy will come round momentarily for your bags. For more news, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,309. Silver opened at $15.40, and Bitcoin is trading around $3,997. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
By the end of the year, nearly every Major League Baseball team will be using facial recognition. The Activist Post reports that last year there were only 9 Major League Baseball teams using Clear's facial recognition to spy on fans. But all of that is about to change. This year, the MLB has decided to go full-blown TSA and put facial recognition cameras in 23 stadiums, which is just 7 shy of the entire league. According to an article published by Business Wire, Major League Baseball plans to scan the faces of millions of baseball fans. The article warned that Clear's broader rollout plan means they will be in every stadium by the end of the year. With Clear becoming the official biometric identity partner of Major League Baseball, the future of spying on sports fans and their families will only get worse. A Cleveland.com article revealed that Clear Biometrics will be scanning fans' faces during this year's Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. The Liberty Beat is found online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. As New Zealand reels from Friday's Christchurch mosque attack that left 50 dead and 50 wounded, residents of New Zealand have begun to voluntarily surrender their legally owned semi-automatic firearms for destruction, ahead of reforms promised over the next several days. Activist Post reports that the reports of citizens disarming themselves come amid a Monday announcement by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern that several in-principle decisions on gun control have been made by cabinet ministers, and has praised residents who have surrendered their guns to police. Official police figures show that nearly 7,000 New Zealanders are legally allowed to own semi-automatic weapons. Police have advised those who wish to turn theirs in to first call their local police station or arms officer for advice on safely transporting them for destruction. For 6 years, ever since the alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria in 2013, the Western corporate press has stuck with the easily disproven claim that the Syrian government gassed its own people. Activist Post reports that the lie has been repeatedly debunked by researchers in the alternative media, but that hasn't altered the onslaught of propaganda coming from mainstream journalists. Now, one of their own, a mainstream Belgian reporter who was captured by the West's Free Syrian Army terrorists, has begun blowing the lid off of the lies that the Syrian government committed the chemical attack. The reporter recently gave an interview with Belgian RTL, where he told of a conversation he heard between rebels that exonerated President Bashar al-Assad and stated clearly that, quote, it wasn't the government of Bashar al-Assad that used sarin gas or any other gas, end quote. As a result, the majority of his scheduled interviews with mainstream outlets were canceled. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
People love photography. But when we thought about photography, we realized one thing. Humans are limited to looking at photos with our eyes. That's a problem, right? So we made an app, PicSong, the first program that turns your photos into music if you want to do that for some reason. It puts the power in your hands. You get to decide why you need this. I can't tell you why you need this. It's not my job. Who is this app for? Maybe it's for students, or artists, or blind people. But can it turn your music into photos? No, it can't. Do you get to keep the original photo? No, it gets deleted. Always back up your photos before using PicSong.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, as always, broadcasting from LRN.FM. I am your host, Aria DiMezzo, and I'm joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton
of BitcoinHistory.com. And speaking of the attack in New Zealand, there's always new stuff coming out in regards to it. We were discussing a moment ago Kiwi Farms trolling the detectives who, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to reach out to Kiwi Farms about it. But apparently, at least 2 people in New Zealand have been arrested for sharing video of the mosque massacres.
Yeah, we had there was a 22-year-old man that was arrested a few days ago, like right after it happened.
And an 18-year-old that they discussed last night on Free Talk Live, which is the show coming up in just an hour, so stay tuned for that. But a 22-year-old New Zealand man has been arrested for distributing video of an attack Friday at 2 mosques in the country that left 50 people dead. ABC News reported that the man, who has not been identified, will be charged under the Films, Video, and Publications Classification Act and is scheduled to appear Monday in court.
So they're getting him for violating the censorship.
Yes, definitely. A 28-year-old man has been charged in connection to the shootings, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
yeah, we know.
Why would you write an article with a headline about one thing and then immediately segue into something else?
Well, you know,
we all know about the freaking shooting by now. We don't need a recap on that. Tell us about this guy who was arrested for sharing a video.
Indeed.
But they didn't do that. Instead, it goes on to continue, recounting the actual shooting and things along those lines. Now, we did cover...
died, dozens were injured, blah, blah, blah. We know.
Apparently, it is illegal in New Zealand to distribute or possess an objectionable publication. I imagine they have some kind of rather lengthy legal definition of what is and isn't objectionable.
What's objectionable is whatever the chief censor of New Zealand says is objectionable. Yes, there is a chief censor of New Zealand.
I wish I could pretend to be surprised. We would like to remind people that it is an offense to distribute or possess an objectionable publication, which carries a penalty of imprisonment, New Zealand police said in the statement, according to ABC News. Now, these islands around the Pacific, not the Pacific, yeah, I guess it is the Pacific.
South Pacific.
Yeah, around Australia and, Southeastern Asia are not generally very free. I have a friend in Indonesia who is currently in prison for insulting Islam. He's an atheist. His name is Amos Yee, and he is absolutely in prison for insulting Islam. He also made the stupid and reckless decision of being his own attorney, which everybody advised him against.
Yeah, you don't do that in America if you can avoid it. You certainly don't do it in a foreign country.
But now this 18-year-old kid in Indonesia is in prison for making videos wherein he criticized Islam. And they weren't anti-Muslim videos. They were anti-religious videos that happened to focus on Islam because Islam is the dominant religion in Indonesia. In the same way that if you were to make an anti-religious video here in the United States, it would focus primarily on
Christianity.
So that's stuff that's going on. We also have an 18-year-old from Gizmodo. I'm going to bring this up and hope for the best that the article actually discusses the 18-year-old who was arrested rather than the 28-year-old who did the act that caused these others to be arrested. According to Gizmodo, an 18-year-old man who shared a video of Friday's terrorist attack in Christchurch has been charged with distributing the video and inciting violence. That was the charge I would expect.
Yeah. Well, those are 2 charges.
Yeah, but that is the latter is the one I would expect. Just some sort of
inciting violence.
Legalese about how sharing this video of a terrorist act is inciting terrorism.
Oh, yeah. They're throwing the book at him then.
The man allegedly posted a photo of one of the mosques targeted in Friday's attacks with the words, "Target acquired."
Okay, that's different than just sharing the video. That's saying, okay, here's a target, inciting violence. Yeah.
But it's doing so after the shooting had already occurred. I don't know if I agree that it's inciting violence as much as it's pointing out that violence occurred there.
Well, their theory is that it's going to inspire copycat crimes.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's true of just sharing the video as well.
Yeah.
Well,
this goes a little farther. I mean, this is saying a specific target acquired, referring to a mosque.
Right.
So he's encouraging people to target a mosque.
I'm not sure I agree.
The theory. Well,
I mean, yeah,
it's
sure.
the cops. How can you agree with it?
I guess that's
I'm just
the theory.
explaining what their legal theory is.
Yeah, but I mean, they say the same thing about just sharing the video in the first place, that you're going to inspire copycat shooters. The man, who can't be named because of a court order, was not involved in the attack, but is being charged with one count of sharing an obscene video and another count of inciting violence. Aside from sharing the video and a hateful photo, I'm not even sure I can agree that it's hateful. It was stupid, but I don't know that that qualifies as hateful. The man allegedly incited violence through his chat messages. It's not clear who saw the messages, and I don't think the actual messages have been released.
Yeah, they didn't even name the social media platform.
Well, it was Facebook.
I'm sure
I think we can assume that.
It could have been Instagram or not.
True.
But what was it? Gab?
True. I joined Gab last night, by the way. For anybody who wants to find me, you can find me at gab.ai/Aria DiMezzo. I did it because Christopher Cantwell got banned from it. And I realized it is a hotbed of neo-Nazis, and I think that's just hilarious.
You have to really work at it to get banned from a hotbed of neo-Nazis.
You do. You do. You have to explicitly call for violence, and it seems like that's what he did. That's the news, according to Newsweek, that he has been banned from Gab. Gab released a statement, but did not mention him by name. But it was obvious to everyone, considering he had just been banned.
Yeah, it's obvious to everyone who it was.
So I was like, okay, well, there's still people who believe that Cantwell somehow, despite leaving the arena, won Shimo versus Nazi. So I'm going to go join this social media platform from which he just got banned as sort of a way of rubbing salt in the wounds. It's like, haha, how did all of this really work out for you, Mr. Cantwell? I'm going to say not very well at all. And that's probably why our Discord chat has been filled with discussion about whether or not Christopher Cantwell is indeed about to become Christina Cantwell.
Oh, my.
So if you would like to read that, you can find it at discord.lrn.fm. It's quite humorous, and I would not personally be terribly surprised to find it. I mean, it's the only step his career can go from here.
Yeah, what? Yeah, he doesn't have much left at this point, does he?
He can either A, start doing porn that's titled something.
No.
Let me finish. That's titled something like Nazi bottom gets boned by Jewish cuck or something like that.
Oh my!
Which lots of people would see and lots of people would pay for. Or
the mental images I'm getting are so cringeworthy.
Well, I mean, the going theory is that the only reason he ever took up this Nazi thing was because he wanted to make a career out of, radio and things like that, and that seems to be the best way for him to do it.
To be a shock jock, but take it to 1,000%?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if that is the case, then now that his career is evidently just in ruins, I mean, even the Nazis hate him now.
Yeah.
Look, when you have Nazis laughing and cheering for a tranny in various Telegram rooms, you have an endemic problem with your platform and whatever it is that you're doing that is making your own people hate you so much.
Yeah, you've totally gone somewhere. You missed a left turn somewhere.
The main criticism against him seems to be that, he was trying to get people to actually take down his competitors by doxing them and things like that. I don't know all of the details about it. I don't particularly care, but there's very little doubt that his career is in shambles. So he can either start doing porn of getting banged by Jewish dudes.
Oh my.
Or he can come out as trans.
Oh my! I'm not sure which is.
I will be understanding and I will help facilitate his transition if he were to come out. I can't even finish that with a straight face.
We'll try it again in a minute.
The idea is absurd, but I mean it would also make sense in a warped sort of way that all of this was just an act, a way of him running from his gender identity disorder.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, this is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna get more into this censorship here in a minute. Don't go anywhere.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, if you would like to weigh in, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you would prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And you can join in on the fun little conversation they're having about whether or not Chris Cantwell is going to become Christina Cantwell. But back to the subject at hand, there have been at least 2 arrests so far in New Zealand for people sharing the video of the shooting at the mosques or just making images that alluded to it.
2 arrests that we know of so far, and the week is young.
New Zealand authorities have the power to ban certain video and images under the Films, Videos, and Publications Classification Act of 1993. Facebook did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Gizmodo about whether it has received requests for information regarding people who share the video on its platform. Now, that raises a point. They certainly have granted themselves the authority to attempt to ban videos and images, but whether or not they actually have the power to depends upon their technical capabilities. And I'm going to say they don't.
No. Well, they have the legal power to ban it in New Zealand within their little 2 islands there, but the rest of the planet, no.
Yeah, but how could they even achieve that? They can't make Facebook remove something.
They can't make Facebook remove something, but
so their power
remove it anyway.
Perhaps, but let's assume for a moment that Facebook didn't, so I can demonstrate how they do not, in fact, have the power to do this.
Okay.
Let's say Facebook was not going to remove it. The New Zealand authorities, therefore, do not have the power to ban that video because it's going to exist and it's going to be accessible in New Zealand whether they like it or not. And the only alternative they have is to kick Facebook out of New Zealand.
Well, they would do that.
Well,
they could
attempt it.
They could attempt
but
it.
But as we see in China with its Great Firewall, there are ways around it. So
There's always
again,
a way around it.
Even the Chinese government doesn't have the power to ban Facebook. So the New Zealand authorities certainly lack the power to ban certain videos and images. They may say that they have the power to, and they may have given themselves the legal justification to. They may say, okay, well, we can do this now, and you can totally like it or get shot by the police who are coming to arrest you for violating what we said we can do. But in real terms, they clearly do not and probably cannot have the power to do this. According to its most recent transparency report, Facebook has produced at least some data at the request of the New Zealand government in 61% of the cases. For comparison, it complied with 86% of the requests sent by the United States government.
Okay.
Of course, New Zealand is far from the only country that bans certain videos from being shared. India has recently banned some political critics from social media in the run-up to its elections on April the 11th. Yeah, because that's certainly something you want right before your election.
Yeah, ban your opposition?
Certainly. Well, it has certainly worked in Venezuela and in Brazil. Russia announced this week that it was banning fake news, along with criticism of government officials. And Egypt announced today that it would put in place tighter censorship for all social media accounts with over 5,000 followers.
Oh, yeah. They didn't learn their lesson.
No. Shanks admitted that it's tough to police social media in New Zealand, but insisted that making the video illegal to view would hopefully help keep it from spreading further. The argument that social media platforms have around this is that they operate like a phone company, that they're not responsible for what is put on their platforms and delivered through their platforms, Shanks said on local radio. It's a matter of taking stock of what we got. Now there is action that can be taken for those who are posting, reporting, and publishing this material. So he didn't even seem to have finished that thought about what is wrong with how social media platforms view it.
Well, it's all profit, no responsibility is what he said elsewhere.
I would certainly say that, Facebook can't have it both ways. They can't say, well, we own all of the content that you upload, but we have absolutely no responsibility for it if any of it turns out to be illegal. And that seems to be the game that they're playing. And I think they should need to pick one. Either the user-created content is owned by the users and therefore they have no legal responsibility for it, or it's owned by them and they can use it and sell it and trade it however they want.
Yeah, as far as I know, that the user content is yours and Facebook is just allowed to post it on your behalf. But I haven't read the terms of service in a while, so I don't know what they're claiming.
Well, that's
today.
absolutely false. I mean, they do absolutely claim ownership of all user content that is uploaded to Facebook.
Really?
Yeah, they're not alone with it. YouTube does it as well.
I don't think that would fly. How can YouTube claim ownership of other people's content?
because you're literally giving it to YouTube to host on their servers.
Well, that doesn't mean YouTube owns it. That doesn't mean they're the copyright holder.
No. I would agree, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to attempt to explain how they have it worked out.
As far as I know, you still own your content. It's just you're putting it up on YouTube for them to share with the world.
Well, I mean, we can Google it when we go out to break. I'm positive that that's not true, and that YouTube, Facebook, and other social media sites do claim to own the content.
Nobody would post videos on YouTube if YouTube took ownership of them.
Well, they seem to.
Especially not if they were like.
Well, I mean I think you're presuming a lot on behalf of the average person that isn't true. I mean, people use Steam, and if you buy a game from Steam, Steam assumes ownership of that game, not you, and that doesn't really seem to bother people. And
you didn't create a game and put it on Steam.
The same with Spotify and Apple Music and things like that. We know that to be the case with Twitch. They at least claim temporary ownership of videos uploaded to them, and will restrict your account if they find out that you're putting the same video up on YouTube within a 24-hour period of it being on Twitch.
That's odd.
So, I mean, it does seem to be part of their terms and conditions that you're surrendering ownership to them by using the service.
That does seem a little strange.
Well, we'll look into it when we go out to break, because I think it's certainly worth discussing. But we do see it, and we do know it exists in other outlets, like with Steam, with Kindle and Amazon's, ebook store and all of that.
Right.
You don't own any of that content, no matter how much you buy it, no matter how much you actually download it and possess it.
No,
legally,
the author of the book owns the content.
Well, I would disagree. That's legally. Legally, the author of the book doesn't even own the content. Amazon does. They own that specific version of the content. Sure, you can sell it elsewhere in a different form. But if you upload that same exact ebook to somewhere else in order to sell it, they will take issue with that. It's a violation of their publishing terms.
That's news to me.
So there's a lot of red tape with all of these things that involves surrendering certain ownership rights in order to use these platforms in the first place. I'm not a fan of that. I think that if you physically possess something, whether it's ones and zeros or whether it's a physical object, if you possess it, it's yours. Intellectual property is non-existent. So if I download this copy of this book, it makes that copy of the book 100% mine. And they have all kinds of legal reasons about why that's totally not the case. But, they can argue that the earth is flat in court, and they can present a 3,000-page document explaining it, but it won't make it true.
But the earth is flat.
This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few to discuss this further.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, you know the math. There are many more applicants than openings, so you need to stand out, not blend into the blah, blah, blah your interviewer is hearing from your competition. Here's a tip. In your interview, you will be judged more by the questions you ask than the answers you give. Yes, do anticipate the obvious job interview questions and prepare concise, insightful, glass-half-full sounding responses. And you should interview your interviewer. Seem genuinely curious about what will help get results. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. You want to cut through the clutter. For more tips for job seekers and making all the other conversations you have more productive, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, and it turns out that you are correct, Michael.
Holy crap.
Yeah, strictly speaking, YouTube and Facebook do not claim ownership of the content that you upload. Instead, what they do is they do what what most people would characterize as ownership in any practical sense. When you upload a video to YouTube, you are granting a non-exclusive worldwide perpetual license to freely sub-license, redistribute, republish, monetize, and whatever they may want to do with your video.
Right.
So I would categorize it more as you're granting them co-ownership.
Yeah, it basically means they can do pretty much whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
But the non-exclusive bit means you can also still do whatever you want with it.
Yes, that's why I would characterize it as co-ownership.
Right.
And the
Pretty
same
close to that.
The same is true on Facebook. They do the same thing, granting a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free worldwide license to your photos that you upload. So again, I would characterize it as co-ownership, but you're right. You don't, strictly speaking, give up your ownership abilities, but you do relinquish a lot of them. Or you
give them a lot of latitude in how they use your content.
Yeah, I would say you agree to share your ownership rights with YouTube and Facebook when you upload something to them.
It sounds very nearly like that.
So that's the case there. So they're not necessarily claiming ownership of the video content while denying responsibility for anything that bad happens. But in regard to New Zealand, the people of New Zealand may not be as stupid as we think. No offense to the people of New Zealand. New Zealand's gun owners, evidently, have voluntarily surrendered 37 firearms of an estimated 1.2 million. It reminds me of New Jersey attempting to do that bump stock ban or whatever, and nobody turning in their guns.
Nobody turned in anything.
Of course, 0 is better than 37 in things like this, and 37 is still too high.
Well, you know, the first person that made the news about this got pretty well ridiculed.
Well, because it's stupid. It's completely stupid. It's so stupid that it's difficult to explain without just repeating the idea that's wrong with it. Like, okay, I don't trust other people with guns, right? Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to give up my guns
to other people instead of maintaining these guns myself, whom I trust with guns. I'm going to give them away to other people when I don't trust other people with guns.
Well, they trust the cops because they've been giving these guns to the cops supposedly for destruction.
Why would anybody want only the police to be the people with guns?
I don't know. Didn't we learn that lesson last century?
We learned it throughout all of human history, I would hope.
Well, I would hope, but apparently we keep seeing stuff like this happen, so obviously we did not learn that lesson.
No, and we have people advocating for that exact thing here in the United States. It's especially prevalent on the left with people saying, well, only cops should have guns. There's no need for the average citizen to own a gun. Donald Trump is a Nazi. Wait a minute here.
Wait. You want to... Donald Trump is a Nazi, so you want him to have all the guns.
And for the people who he would target to have no guns whatsoever. And speaking of that, I saw a news article today about what's happening in Brazil and how the Trump administration seems to agree with Brazil on the subject of LGBTQ people.
Oh, lovely.
And my response to that is, you know, this right here, this is why I won't let you disarm me. But Brazil's notorious anti-LGBTQ president, Bolsonaro, said he and the U.S. were side by side in efforts to ensure traditional family values on a visit to the country on Tuesday. Which traditional family values, I presume, that means...
one man, one woman, nuclear family.
Okay, so it doesn't mean like, I don't know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but okay. Far-right Bolsonaro, who took office in January, has described himself as a proud homophobe. He also said he'd prefer to have a dead son than a gay son.
Oh, I remember that.
I do too. It's one of those things that just make you stop and go, wow.
Wow, yeah, this is the 21st century and you're...
In a joint press conference with Donald Trump, Bolsonaro said they stood together against the gender ideology or the politically correct attitudes. Trump, who himself has a questionable track record on LGBTQ rights, nodded along.
Yeah.
He began his speech to journalists by saying that he and Bolsonaro have many views that are similar. Shocking.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Trump also congratulated Bolsonaro on winning his election. What's more, Trump claimed he was thrilled to host Bolsonaro at the White House.
Yeah, that'll be coming up soon, right?
Known for his far-right policies and anti-LGBTQ, misogynistic, and racist comments, some people called Bolsonaro... I pronounce that differently every single time I see it.
Bolsonaro?
I said that at least once. The Trump of the tropics. LGBTQ activists have warned that Bolsonaro will usher in a new wave of terror for Brazil's LGBTI community.
Yeah, somebody like that probably will.
In January, Brazil's only openly gay lawmaker fled the country.
Okay, now you know it's getting bad.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, there are probably LGBTQ people who have fled the United States under the assumption that, oh no, now the Nazis are in power, we're all going to be rounded up and put into death camps.
Yeah, but here the LGBTQ members of Congress have not fled the country.
No, but just because someone is afraid, it doesn't incline me to take their fear seriously or to assume that their fear is based in anything but hysteria. He would still have to demonstrate to me some kind of way that the Brazilian president is forming some kind of threat to the LGBT community for me to be willing to say, okay, now it's getting serious. For all I know, he's just a panicky little fairy and he freaked out and ran away. But many LGBTQ Brazilians who said they were fearful for their rights and safety under the rule of the openly homophobic Bolsonaro. That is an incomplete sentence. Gay Star News. I read it that way, expecting it to be a complete sentence, and then there was no verb.
Yeah, where did it?
Prior to the presidency, Brazil saw a spate of same-sex marriages as same-sex couples rushed to marry before he took office, which seems kind of, I mean, this is why you don't want the state recognition of relationships in the first place, because you can easily get someone in charge who nullifies your relationship.
Just revokes your civil marriage.
Yeah, to me, that is insane. You don't want the state to have, it comes back to the question of, Donald Trump and the War Powers Act. And any of these wars that we've been fighting in the last few decades, why would you want a president that you agree with to have that level of power when you know for a fact that within the next 12 years at least, you're overwhelmingly likely to get someone in power with whom you adamantly disagree?
Yeah, the other side is going to get hold of that power.
And they will then use that power to do things that you disapprove of. So mitigate the problem by not allowing anyone to have that level of power in the first place.
I know, right?
Mitigate the issue of having your marriage nullified by the state by getting the state out of marriage.
Yeah, the state doesn't belong in marriage. They're not supposed to be who decides what a marriage is.
In September, Brazilian LGBTI rights groups reported more than 300 LGBT people had been murdered in Brazil in 2018. Now, that's a staggering number compared to what's happened here in the United States that we talked about a few weeks ago, which was something like 0.001% of the trans population being targeted. It was like 30. It was like 27 or 28 people.
Yeah, I think it was actually like below the average of all murders.
Oh, it was well below the average. So they certainly do have some sort of homophobia or LGBT phobia issue there in Brazil. But the election of this president would not be a manifestation of that, but a symptom of that. So we're going to get back into what I meant to discuss, which was the New Zealanders, some of them giving up their weapons to the state, because, that's totally never gone wrong before in the history of the human race.
Nope, Warsaw.
Yep, so we're going to get into that and why these 37 people are kind of stupid here on Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
I cannot imagine anyone ever calling a cigarette interdiction hotline.
That'd be great.
What would that conversation be like?
Well, I'm calling because I can't stop smoking.
Sir, do you have a cigarette right now?
Well, yes.
Is it lit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have an ashtray?
Yes.
Okay, you know when you're done with your cigarette and you put it out?
Uh-huh.
Okay, try that right now.
But it's not.
Go ahead and do that same motion.
I can you imagine the conversations?
What the hell could they possibly
Is it 24 hours?
I just don't get
Just
it.
someone called him. I can't do it anymore.
It's dumb.
I smoked the whole pack of cigarettes.
I only get motivated at 3 a.m. Help me out. There's nobody there.
I've smoked all my money away, and now my wife's left me, and she took the dog and the kids. I got no money left. I've smoked it all.
I was breaking into my neighbors' houses and pawning their TVs for more cigarettes.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Maybe you listen to the show regularly and have been wondering how you can help. I've got echo suddenly.
Yeah, you are echoing a bit, so am I.
The music is echoing as well, and I'm still echoing. Hey, Ian!
Yeah, we've got a big issue with the audio here. I guess we'll have to just roll with it for the moment.
I don't know that we can.
Yeah, well,
that's really distracting.
It's a little distracting, but I guess we can just try to talk for a while. We before we went to the break, we were going to get into the. We sound much better.
Okay, so as I was saying, maybe you listen regularly to the show and have been wondering how you can help and show your support. Social media shares certainly go a long way, but so does cash. And you can do that with Patreon at patreon.com/call-to-freedom. Our wonderful patrons there are currently helping to keep the show up and running, including both the podcast at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com and the website at calltofreedomlive.com. And we can't thank them enough for showing their support. Once more, that's patreon.com/calltofreedom if you would like to check it out. And we've been talking about New Zealand's gun owners and how some of them are stupid. Well, some of these former gun owners are stupid.
Well, a few dozen of them.
New Zealand has an estimated 1.2 million guns. We really need to pump those numbers up. That is nowhere near enough guns. Yeah, those are rookie numbers. According to a 2017 small arms survey, that's about one gun for every 4 people. In the U.S., it's estimated there is more than one gun per person. That's right.
A little better.
That's the kind of numbers you want to aim for. I would rather see maybe like 5-6 guns per person.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking shotguns or AR-15s. I'm talking AK-47s and Abrams tanks. One per person, at minimum. Every single person should have a tank with which to destroy the U.S. government when it does what governments do.
Yeah, the problem with everyone having a tank is where are we going to park them?
I think the parking problem would probably solve itself. Or, well, there's a car there, but this is a tank. Tank beats car. Problem solved.
Oh, just
of course,
park in the driveway.
Then you have other problems to deal with, like property damage and the person with their own tank coming after you for parking on top of their car. And, obviously, don't damage other people's property.
It could get messy. We may need tank control.
Well, we have tank control now. You're not allowed to own a working, functioning tank here in the United States.
Oh, you're not?
Not as far as I'm aware. You're not allowed to have a 747.
Why not?
You're not allowed to have an F-15 bomber. You're not allowed to have a nuke.
No, that's one that we ought to discuss sometime, because I think you should be able to have a nuke.
Oh, I would absolutely agree. I'm a member of the Bear Nukes Caucus of the Libertarian Party. I absolutely agree. If the government has a weapon,
you should be able to defend yourself.
The tank that you own, Arterial Salad on Discord has said you can own a tank. It cannot be a functioning tank.
So you can't have like the turret can't shoot stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you're barely allowed to own a freaking cannon, and that's 19th century stuff.
Yeah, I don't get this.
No, nor do I. But I certainly think that, if the government has the weapon, or if the weapon even exists, then the individual should be able to own it.
I'll agree with that.
And I think that's what the Second Amendment set out to protect.
Yeah, that's explicitly what it was about.
Because, I mean,
ordinary people having military weapons.
Yeah, and there are extremely tight regulations on the drones that the average person can buy. You certainly can't buy a drone that's capable of dropping bombs. You might be able to rig it up that way in your spare time. I would not recommend doing so.
But no, you can't just get on Amazon and buy one.
No, you certainly can't buy the ones made by Lockheed Martin that the government buys.
No, they won't sell those to you.
Even if you could afford it. And I think that that's a severe issue. But apparently 37 people in New Zealand don't agree, because many of them are preemptively giving up their guns in light of the shooting to make our community safer, said Andern, who they didn't characterize beyond that. The time to act is now. I want to remind people you can surrender your gun to the police at any time.
You mean Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern?
In fact, I have seen reports that people are in fact already doing this. I applaud that effort. And if you are thinking about surrendering your rights, I would encourage you to do so. Now, he said weapon rather than rights.
Well, let's not misgender her.
Well, this moron, let's be gender neutral, this moron said weapon instead of rights. But what they're ultimately talking about is giving up, surrendering, they used the correct word, they're surrendering your right to defend yourself.
That's what it's about.
Ardern acknowledged that tightening gun laws in the country where gun ownership is common in the rural and farming communities would create a small degree of uncertainty among some gun owners who possess guns for legitimate reasons. They all possess guns for legitimate reasons.
Yeah, they're all legitimate reasons. I want one is a legitimate reason.
She assured gun owners that the forthcoming gun law changes were not directed at them. The announcement set off several news reports suggesting that New Zealand's gun owners were turning in their weapons after the attack. And so she's not the only moron in New Zealand, clearly. If somebody doing something bad makes you think, boy, I wish I didn't have the ability to do that bad thing that this person who isn't me did, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, the early reports on this were just making it look like this was going to be something that everybody did. And no, it wasn't.
Well, I mean, we saw it here in the United States after one of the mass shootings with people going, okay, well, I'm turning in my guns to the police.
Yeah, there's a few people who do that after every one.
But there are also people who live in towers so freaking white that they say things like, well, I don't need a gun. If somebody broke into my house, I would just offer them a cup of coffee and we would sit down and talk about why they felt. You have people saying this, right?
Yeah, I know you have people saying this. That's the thing. They've obviously never met a burglar.
No, it's like how white does your tower have to be to actually view the world in that warped lens?
Yeah, I don't know, but they're obviously a little far removed from reality.
Yeah, I mean, if you're protected by, iron gates in a nice little suburban community where it costs $1.5 million to buy a house, I could kind of understand why you'd be so detached from reality.
Yeah, that's one thing.
That is how I would not agree that you should be so detached from reality, but I do see how it could come about. But for the average person, no. Can you imagine telling the people in Chicago or Memphis, where crime rates are very, very high, hey, if somebody breaks into your home, don't even sweat it. Just offer them a cup of coffee and sit down and talk to them about their life decisions.
That's not going to end well.
If your solution to any problem is to involve yourself in somebody else's life decisions, then you're already asking for disaster, whether this person has broken into your home or not. But John Hart, a farmer and Green Party member from, God, that's a name, told BuzzFeed News that he surrendered his semi-automatic rifle 2 days after the attack.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He tweeted a photo of the form he signed to hand over his rifle to the police. That sentence is just so bizarre to me. We don't need these in our country. We have to make sure it's hashtag never again.
Does he even know what never again means? I mean, never
it's
again.
It's a reference to the Holocaust,
It's a
correct?
reference to the Holocaust. You're supposed
which was caused in large part by people surrendering
a government
their guns
disarmed its people
to the German government. So these are literally the circumstances. Yeah, these are literally the circumstances that cause "never again" to be nothing more than a slogan.
You make sure it's never again by getting more guns, not less.
This is how you make it. Oh, absolutely, definitely. Let's try it one more time. Hart said that before the mosque shooting, he hadn't given much thought to the idea of owning a semi-automatic rifle, since gun ownership was common in farming communities like his, and guns were viewed by most as a useful tool to control wild pigs and goats. New Zealand had never experienced anything like this in living memory, so it was definitely a shock to see that kind of a violence arrive here. When our Prime Minister announced that our gun laws needed to change, I realized I completely agreed with her. What?
What?
Yeah.
How did you?
I really can't wrap my mind around the type of person who sees a tragedy like this and hears a politician say, okay, well, we just can't have guns anymore. And have that person go, you know what?
That
She's
makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
There are psychopaths out there. And if I give up my gun and I don't know where it is at all times, some psychopath out there might end up with it. And that would be bad. So I need to give up my gun.
To the psychopath.
Yeah. The reason he gave in the form to surrender his rifle was doesn't want it. Well, I will gladly take it from you. And it will no longer be an issue for New Zealand.
If you want to give up your guns, send them to a good home.
Describing the moments before he took the gun to the local police station, he wrote that he cleaned it and he verified that it works. So there are still idiots out there, and they still do idiotic things. I wish we could pretend to be surprised. Look, don't give up your guns to the state, ever. And if the state ever says you should, that's when you should stock up on ammo. This is the Call to Freedom. Free Talk Live is coming up next.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it. Wait now.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat, for Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,307. Silver opened at $15.32. And Bitcoin is trading around $4,015. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability,